Breaking news on Good Morning El Paso.
President Trump announcing overnight that he and First Lady Melania Trump have tested positive for COVID-19. All we know about their current conditions and what it means for the president's upcoming plans.
So the entire staff who traveled with the president this week should be quarantining for 14 days.
Plus, who the president has been in close contact with and what a health expert is saying about the possible risks that the president faces.
Following more local breaking news, one person in custody after an overnight shooting on I-10. We're live from the scene breaking down all the details we know so far this hour.
And that breaking news overnight, the shooting investigation causing a major backup on I-10 near downtown. We're going to show you the alternate routes coming up and show you just how far this traffic headache extends all the way back.
And a vaccine setback for the White House. The new comments from pharmaceutical companies that are creating some serious doubts about having a vaccine approved by Election Day.
Also, a new stimulus bill was passed in the House. We'll tell you what comes next for the proposal and what we know about the ongoing negotiations between the White House and Congress. Nicole.
Clear skies and cool temperatures to start out this morning, but you'll definitely need the sunglasses. I'm tracking more warm weather. I'll let you know if we'll break records. That's coming up in Storm Track Weather.
Live, where news comes first. This is ABC 7 with breaking news.
Good morning and thank you for joining us. We're following several breaking news stories this morning.
One person is dead, another wounded after a shooting in central El Paso. Police say it happened right near I-10 East and Piedras. We do have a crew on the scene live. We'll have a report from Madeline Audley on the scene coming up in just a few minutes.
But we start with major breaking news overnight. President Trump announcing that both he and the First Lady have tested positive for the coronavirus. The news coming just 32 days before the election. President Trump tweeting overnight, quote, "The First Lady and I have tested positive for COVID-19. We will begin our quarantine and recovery process immediately. We will get through this together." The First Lady adding, quote, "As too many Americans have done this year, the President and I are quarantining at home. Please be sure you're staying safe and we'll all get through this together," end quote. The White House physicians saying both are feeling well and that they plan to remain at home within the White House. Late Thursday, President Trump announced plans to quarantine after one of his closest advisors, Hope Hicks, tested positive for the coronavirus. Sources telling ABC News Hicks is experiencing symptoms. This is what the president said yesterday before testing positive for the virus.
We are on track to develop and distribute a vaccine before the end of the year and maybe substantially before. And I just want to say that the end of the pandemic is in sight.
The White House is canceling all events scheduled for the president for today and tomorrow that included rallies in Florida and in Wisconsin.
And now other concerns this morning. President Trump had close interaction this week with dozens of White House officials, his supporters, members of his own family at times, without wearing a mask or observing social distancing. These are the precautions that experts are saying the president and First Lady should take now.
So the entire staff who traveled with the president this week should be quarantining for 14 days. The president of the United States should be quarantining for 14 days. Important for the continuity of government is that the president and vice president should not be together now for 14 days to prevent both the president and the vice president from contracting the virus.
And according to Trump's physician, Navy Commander Dr. Sean Conley, the 74-year-old president and the First Lady are both doing well this morning and plan to remain at home within the White House during their convalescence.
Now let's get back to our other top story. As we mentioned at the top of the show, 2 people were shot in central El Paso. Police have said that one of the victims has died. It happened near I-10 and Piedras at around 3:20 this morning. And that's where we find Good Morning El Paso's Madeline Audley live with all the latest details. Good morning, Madeline.
Mauricio, I wanted to start out a frame here just to give you a close-up look right away of something new we're seeing here in the last 15 minutes. We've seen officers and detectives surrounding a vehicle that's parked right there in the middle of those eastbound lanes on I-10. Again, all of this right near Piedras. We've seen them taking photos in this area. It's also important to note that's the same location that we saw officers speaking with a man earlier this morning, potentially even a witness. We saw officers taking photos of that man as well. The police have not said the involvement that man or this car have had in this this case. Police did tell us this morning that at least one suspect has been taken into custody, but they could not tell us any information on the charges that individual might be facing. They also have not said if they're seeking any additional suspects at this hour. Police have also not been able to tell us exactly what led up to the shooting or any identifying information about the victims. What we can tell you this hour is that this will impact your morning commute if you are heading eastbound on I-10. Police have actually shut down all of the lanes here, those eastbound lanes near downtown, which is where they're diverting all traffic at this hour. I did ask a police supervisor how long this closure could last. He tells me right now it's still too early to tell. Of course, as the story develops, we'll bring you the latest, both live on air and online at kvia.com. For now, reporting live in Central El Paso, Madeline Otterly. Good morning, El Paso.
Thanks so much, Madeline, for that live update. And now new this morning, the two pharmaceutical companies leading the charge now in the development of a coronavirus vaccine are now saying they will not have a vaccine ready before Election Day. Moderna telling the Financial Times it won't apply for approval of a vaccine until late November at the earliest. And even then, it wouldn't have wide distribution before next spring. Also, the head of Pfizer writing in an internal memo that he cannot predict when or if a vaccine will be approved. Pfizer, of course, had previously said that it would release data on other clinical trials by the end of this month. The FDA has not announced the guidelines the agency will use in order to grant approval to any vaccine candidate.
The coronavirus stimulus plan passed the House, or was approved by House Democrats on Thursday, but it's unlikely to become law. But talks between House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin continue. The $2.2 trillion package passed the House with no Republican support. Lawmakers are under pressure to agree on a plan before Election Day, but time is running out. Mnuchin presented a $1.6 trillion proposal Wednesday. Pelosi says that number is too low, but that her disagreement with the White House is more about the details in the bill than the top-line amount. Even if the White House and House Democrats agree on a plan, it still has to pass the Republican-controlled Senate. Senate Finance Committee Chair Chuck Grassley says any price tag above $1 trillion will be a hard sell to his Republican colleagues. Now let's get back to that major traffic alert. It's happening at I-10 East near downtown El Paso. This is a live look using our I-10 at Brown camera. So what's going on here, as Madeline just mentioned, police have I-10 East blocked off as they continue to investigate that deadly shooting at I-10 at Piedras. So you're forced to exit just past downtown El Paso. And if we take a look at our other cameras in that area, I-10 at Missouri, you're starting to see the backup building up at downtown. But if we go back to Porfirio Diaz, so this is right before you get to the downtown area, you're seeing that there isn't a backup just yet. So what I think is happening is drivers are getting stuck in it and then they're forced to stay in there, but other drivers are seeing what's going on, so they're exiting at downtown and then taking other routes. So this is good news, meaning that the delays at least aren't extending past downtown, but it is still going to be a traffic headache if you get stuck in it. Let's show you the traffic flows now and show you what exactly we're looking with this overhead view. So that purple that you see on the map, that's I-10 East, close from downtown El Paso all the way to the Spaghetti Bowl. So you won't be able to get back onto I-10 until you pass that Spaghetti Bowl. I'd say around Trowbridge, you should be fine. Your alternate routes, take the Border West Expressway, take Montana Avenue, depending on where you're going, even take Trans Mountain. It might take longer than your usual commute, but it's going to be a whole lot faster than getting stuck in that traffic. We'll give you an updated look coming up in the next 10 minutes. Nicole?
Thank you, Mauricio. 6:08 is the time now. If you are headed out the door, I would grab a light jacket. Checking in on our current temperatures on the west side of town. Santa Teresa, Vinton, zooming into the east side. This is around Pelicano. If you live around Vista del Sol, we're in the low 60s. And as we travel up north to northeast El Paso around O'Hara Street, we're at 62 degrees. Now we're going to shift back west. Barino and Chamberino, Vado in the 60s, the Las Cruces area. You guys are actually a little warmer this morning and area wide. We are waking up to clear skies. So maybe a light sweater jacket, low 60s at 7 o'clock. Winds out of the east and southeast around 5 to 10 miles an hour. I know the west side has been a little breezy throughout the morning. This afternoon, expect much of the same, and you'll definitely need the sunglasses because we'll be tracking lots of sunshine. 86, that'll be a high today for La Mesa, upper 80s, Vado, 91 for La Union, and 92 in Santa Teresa. So across Doña Ana, it's going to be nice. Doña Ana County, Anthony, Sunland Park, mid-80s for White Sands. So cool morning, warm and sunny this afternoon. We're going to talk about your Friday night football forecast and, of course, your weekend. That's coming up in Storm Track Weather.
Thanks, Nicole. The stock market takes a tumble after the president's COVID-19 diagnosis is announced.
We'll show you how the news is impacting the financial markets and the effect that it's expected to carry into today. It's 6:09. You're watching ABC 7, where news comes first.